This is In the Middle with Josh and Sarah Siders. We get it. You're probably going through something that's asking you to dig deep, think differently, and hold on against the odds.
So these are our thoughts about starting new things, shutting some things down, and being with you, right there in the middle.
Welcome back to the In the Middle podcast, the podcast for those of us who haven't arrived yet. I'm Sarah.
I'm Josh. Good to have you with us today.
Yay, we're back.
We are back. We took a week off.
Whew. Yeah,
It happens sometimes.
we took a week off, and it wasn't a full-on existential crisis. But I'm not gonna say it wasn't.
Right.
It had existential traits.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I had my moment 2 weeks ago, and then you had your moment last week.
Yeah.
We're taking turns. I guess I'm up.
Oh my gosh. Seriously, it's like, here we are on the podcast, and it's like, we are having to talk about the stuff that's literally happening live.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't like how not neat this is, because I like to, I think our culture, we like to share things once it's handled.
Right. You put a bow on it.
This is my
here you
thing that happened and a long time ago.
Galaxy far, far away.
Yeah. And those poor souls, whatever. Anyway, so it's just interesting.
But it's related to what we're going to talk about today.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So today we're talking about...
We were going to talk about last week, and I was like, blah.
Yeah, can't do it.
My brain
can't summon
melting. Couldn't summon it.
So this week we're talking about purpose in midlife, and specifically, finding a renewed purpose or, revisioning for the second half of life. And
yes.
So before we get into that,
we do
we have a sponsor.
sponsor.
Our sponsor today is Just Wear Something Clean Outfit Rentals. Emergency wardrobe service for band concerts, award ceremonies, and mystery theme days you were never told about.
Thank God. Do they deliver last minute? Because we have an orchestra concert.
We literally do.
Have to go.
That's why I thought
get the new outfit.
This hits close to home
today.
For us. So this is for all the end of school year moms and dads out there. You can relate to this.
Okay, so in the past, when I overused like all of the delivery services, during the pandemic and everything, I definitely had emergency shoes from Target brought to me for.
Are you serious? That's amazing.
Yeah, they had a thing called Shipped, which I don't know what it is. Maybe it's Instacart or something.
Okay.
But anyway, you can literally order something and have it delivered within like 2 hours.
So like an event that night that you needed.
It was a fundraiser. Yes.
That's amazing.
So I was like, I just need these shoes.
So our sponsor, it works for adults too.
Yeah. Oh.
In a pinch.
Yeah. Yeah. Just wear something clean.
Or you're in the middle of a Netflix series you don't want to get off the couch for, and you're gonna have something.
Sometimes that's the emergency.
That's real life.
Yeah, but it really that hits home. We are in the final stretch of the school year.
We are.
This
is the last like big thing, right? There's like a concert tonight, and then he's got a Worlds of Fun trip tomorrow, which we don't really have to do anything. I just put money on his Greenlight card so he can buy food. That's kind of it. But
let's go eat some fried stuff. Stay safe. Yeah.
Here's some Tums.
And then next week is all the graduation stuff for the 5th and 8th graders.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not ready, okay? I'm not ready.
Not ready for
I'm
this.
not. I'm trying so hard to be ready, but I'm not ready.
Yeah.
It's just like that sweet era of elementary school.
Yeah, they're transitioning onward and upward.
It's so fun having kids that are older, but it's still like, I hold them in my hearts and my iPhone photos.
Yes, absolutely. That is one benefit of having a phone is like capturing memories and then looking back 5 years.
Yeah.
So we are every day this week for the last couple of weeks. We just kind of realized like, we have an elementary schooler.
Yeah.
And these are the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And so we're going to, we live walking distance from the school. So we're going to walk him to school.
We've been walking him since like March. We've been doing this.
It's true. We have been.
Yeah.
We got away from it for a while, for like years. He would go on kind of his own.
Yeah.
And then we asked him, hey, would it be okay if we start walking you to school? Yeah. Because from, 6th grade on, you're going to be dropped off. This is our last elementary schooler. We're just going to kind of soak this in. He's a good sport. As long as we're on time, he's a good sport. And it's been a nice practice, I think, for us to just get that little bits of moments with him, and have those kind of transitional, practices as we're leveling up ourselves as high school, middle school parents.
We're gonna have having a high schooler. I was like, high school. I just can't.
So I hope our watchers and listeners are able to slow down time in your, however you're able to do that, just for a little bit, these final weeks of
the moments
school.
You don't want to miss. You have to decide what they are in advance. So tonight's orchestra concert is one of those with a lot of family in town. Yeah. Lots of moments we don't want to miss. So we're definitely tracking all of that. So today we're talking about this topic of the need to face our changing purpose in life. And it's not like a full out revision per se, but it might be, because we often get to this place in midlife where we don't want to be who we have been, where the person we have been is a survival person. It's hyperachievement, and we sort of extend through that. There's an end of the road for who I have been, but there's not a clear path ahead.
Yeah.
And for a lot of women, and for me definitely, there's this feeling of anger that we have because we are like, oh, I've just been doing what everyone else wanted me to do. And that is the social biological function for us. There's a purpose in that. And yet it's like we realize we haven't been representing ourselves well. And so it's just really like, it feels sad. We feel mad. And then we're also like, but what now?
Right.
So one of the things you were asking me and have asked me at different points is like, well, what do you want to do? And I have a lot of clarity about what I don't want to do.
Right.
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 And I have a lot of like clear regret about things. Regret where I didn't listen to my intuition. Regret where I, let compulsions of like, meeting other people's needs in an unhealthy way.
Yeah.
Prioritize. So I, have been in the middle of this process myself and trying to understand it. And at different points, I'm like, okay, I get it now. And then this regret stuff surfaces again. And the ignored intuition of the past.
Yeah.
And so then I have to like really pay attention, like, oh, okay, I need to allow that to speak, because this second half of life is for me to be true to who I am, knowing what I know now, implementing the wisdom of the mistakes and the past. And so, simultaneously, you created this amazing tool.
Yeah.
So I want to get into it.
Let me just add to that a bit.
Yes.
I think for men too, there's a wake up call that comes sometime in midlife, and often it's ignored at first, but as soon as the reality sets in on you, you realize like what got me here won't get me there.
Yeah. Yes,
right. And
exactly.
if I want my life to be a second mountain life, if I want to be a second mountain man, then I need to rethink and I need to retool.
Yeah.
And so, but a lot of men they're just lost in the fog of, I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm competent in these tools, and actually like transition to a new career, or say I don't have what it takes, or I don't know if I can figure this out on my own, or I don't even know the rules for the second half of life. So where would I even know to go or what to do? I think that's why it's important to think about a second half of life vision. Because it's like the goalposts move in a way.
Yeah.
Like what you're aiming at moves, and you've got to update your expectations, and you've got to update yourself. Otherwise, because I think here's the danger, because that unawareness, the ignorance, and then the just denial of midlife, you keep stuffing down the that kind of intuitive or that internal warning sign of like something is different. Something is maybe wrong, and the longer you stuff that, the longer you keep going in the same direction, the more likely that it's going to turn into a full-blown crisis. And that's what we're trying to help people avoid. To say that the crisis of midlife is avoidable, right?
Yeah.
It is, you don't have to melt down. You don't have to have the classic midlife crisis. But I think that happens often because people aren't aware that they can update their vision and they can update what they're aiming for, and it actually leverage that update or that retooling so that they actually step into flourishing in the second half of life. So in other words, the longer we put this off and the longer we keep in coping or denying or whatever, the more likely it's gonna blow up. Because whatever's inside, that's the thing about midlife, is whatever has been stuffed inside is gonna come out.
Wow. Yeah.
It's gonna come out. And many of us are experiencing this. It comes out. It leaks a little bit towards your wife, or it leaks a little bit at your job, or it leaks a little bit onto your kids, right? And hopefully that is the beginning of that wake up call to go, I don't want to keep doing this. Because otherwise, when I play that tape forward 5, 10, 15 years, there's estrangement, right? There's divorce. There's, I have all the toys, but I have little meaning, that sort of thing. So that's, I think what we're trying to do is go, hey, let's just get really honest about, I think I want something different for myself. And I want to do it in a healthy way and not in an abandonment way. Like I abandon my responsibilities. I abandon my family. I abandon whatever and go off the deep end. I actually want to upgrade, which may include like staying the course in my career. It obviously for us, we would advocate means staying the course in your marriage and in your family. But you do that so that it doesn't become a full-blown crisis.
Right. And I think like if you're going through a transition and you don't know what it's for, right? Like you might not know where you're going, but like you go, there's a purpose to this. If you don't know that and you're just getting squeezed and you're really uncomfortable, it's already really hard, right? Like when I'm going through some of this stuff, we're both like trying to support each other in these like moments where we're like, what is happening? I hate this. It's so uncomfortable. I don't like where I'm at. I don't like how I feel. I don't like the choices that are in front of me. This sucks, or whatever it is, right? And it's like, we know what's going on. We know that this is a part of it, and it's still so uncomfortable. And sometimes I'm like, I want to crawl out of my skin. I'm so uncomfortable. And yet, like, if you don't have that, right, then you are like just feeling those feelings, but it doesn't have, you don't know where it's supposed to go. It doesn't have purpose. Yeah. There's not a direction for it.
Absolutely.
And so I think, it's like the wisdom isn't automatic, right? Like when you say when everything comes out, it's not necessarily that everything in there is bad. Right. It's just that like if you don't have a guide, if you don't have some of these tools that you've developed, that I've developed, or just talking with somebody, if you don't have a guide, if you don't have a trusted network of people to help direct this energy and this process, then you really are kind of figuring it out on your own.
Right.
And so I think some of the frameworks we've talked about here can be helpful, but it's like you just need like direction for this.
Yeah. And someone to tell you it's okay, this is normal.
Yeah, and you're like, that's BS.
Yeah.
Like
I don't want it to be normal.
I don't want this to be normal. I mean, because sometimes, when you're trying to help me and I'm in a particular state of the regret, the quieted or suppressed intuition state, it's like you can't, coach me really out of that.
Right.
I'm just have to like feel that. And I've seen that a lot for women. And you mentioned like men's intuition gets suppressed. And I'm so familiar with women doing that and why and how it works and what it looks like when we don't do it anymore. I'm way up to here in that. Like everybody I know is doing that. And that's interesting that you say that for men because it feels like men don't have to do that. That they like can crash around in the world is made for them. I know that's not true. We can talk about this on another. The difference of between men and women in midlife is a great future topic.
It's true.
But you mentioned that in that James Hollis thing about like imagine that you're cut off from your intuition.
Right.
And I was like, whoa. So midlife is also for men like a point of reconnecting to intuition?
I think so. Like
wow.
I think being awakened to whatever that your gut instinct, your intuition, discernment from the Holy Spirit, if you're a Christian, whatever that overlap of like, your nervous system is a part of that. Like, what is going on that is telling me something about my internal world, about my external world. And men have denied that for so long. It's like, it's just right. What's material, tangible, right in front of us, achieve, overcome, that sort of thing.
So interesting.
So anyway,
that dynamic, I feel like that's fascinating to explore because like a lot of people know, women have denied intuition for the purpose of like relational harmony or whatever. And so, like to think about why men do it and the fact that we're both doing it together.
Right.
It's like, whoa.
And then there's a switch over, I think, related to this, this idea of purpose and personal mission. It's like, I'm not going to deny what my body, what my gut, what my nervous system is telling me.
Then knowing what
because
it knows,
I have ignored too many red flags.
Yep.
Humbled my way forward anyway, and it is eating my lunch. Anyway, I think
Preach.
Maybe that's an interesting conversation for another time. But did you want to get into this?
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's the thing. Like right now, what we're doing is we're like going through all these things. We're going through the season, and a lot of our clients and colleagues and friends are going through these things as well. And so whenever you and I notice these patterns, we go, oh, we want to develop a tool for people. You're in the process of developing a lot of these tools for this this course and these other things. And so you came, I think you shared this with me. It was called the Mission Reset.
Midlife Mission Reset.
Midlife Mission Reset.
Yeah.
And, the design was pretty. I was like, oh, good job, And then he showed me what this is like. And so
it's basically it's a script that you can copy and paste into ChatGPT, and it will prompt you through 20 questions. You can take as long as you want with it. But you can do it really, really briefly if you would like to. And it then gives you a framework to look at a mission statement, personal mission statement, and gives you a couple options. Like there's kind of a professional one, there's a general one, and then there's kind of a spiritual or a calling one. And I think it's really good to kind of get a holistic view of like, this is what I'm about. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, as best you can understand it. And the nice thing about ChatGPT is you can give it additional prompts. If you don't like it, you can say, nope, try again, that sort of thing.
Yep.
You can play with it, but it's the framework that gives you that time of reflection, and then gives you some direction as to how to like articulate it.
Yeah, and it's not a human being, obviously, but it does still have a lot of insight when the prompts are really crafted well.
Yeah.
And so I was really impressed with the questions and just the thoughtfulness of the questions. And, I was in this like moment, this kind of squeeze moment when you were creating this. I was having to make some decisions about my life and how I want my career to develop in a very strategic way. And, I was like, what does this next step look like? What am I going to do? And my regret intuition thing was coming up, because it comes up, I think, at decision points.
Yeah.
Like, don't do these things.
Right.
And so I was just like feeling that, like anger and regret from different things that have happened and really wrestling with it. And it was funny because you gave me this. You're like, hey, why don't you do this before the podcast and then we can talk through it.
Yeah.
And I literally could barely get through these things because I was so in the middle. Like I wasn't connected with my core self. I was in the regret intuition persona who was trying to like keep me from making bad decisions in the past. So I wasn't able to like really access it to the full degree. But what I appreciated, like just to give you an example of one of the questions, the first question is trying to tap into emotion right away, because some of the things that we see with our purpose in midlife is like I think there's a thread, and I would say I know partly what the thread is for me, and I'll share that in a little bit here. there's a thread, a common thread, a theme that we see throughout our lives of how we show up, what matters to us, even though we do change. And sometimes we change like very significantly. There are still these common things. And I think those are like really important and valuable to hold on to. And so a lot of times when we're looking for the common thread, we need to tap into emotion, because purpose isn't a logistical thing. It is partly, but it is emotions. It's rooted in your being. It's rooted in your core. It's rooted in the generations and what's been passed down to you and the moment in time that you're living in, right? Mm-hmm. So many different things. It's not just you by yourself, like individual, taking over. It's like, no, you exist in a time and place with the history and the generations and genetics that you have. And so you have a job to do in that moment. And so there's that common thread. And so, yeah, you have to tap into your heart. You have to tap into your soul and your core for that. Mm-hmm. And I think these questions are really good at that. So this first question, this is where I was at to a degree. And I think it's funny because I think like you can be here and you might be here. So I'm saying this for the benefit of anyone who feels some of these things. The first question was like, what do you hate seeing in the world? What is, what brings anger, heartbreak, holy discontent to the surface? Where are you seeing injustice or dysfunction or even mediocrity? And you're like, that's it. I can't do this anymore. And then it's like, don't edit yourself. Be brutally honest. And it's really trying to bring that. And I was really having trouble getting in touch with the things in the world that I'm upset about. Let's be honest. There's a lot to be upset about in the world right now. It's like, let me pick something. But I was feeling a lot of internal, like that frustration about, again, processing how I've showed up. In certain situations and processing how I have not honored my intuition and what I've done. And so I just kind of like replied with that. Like, I'm frustrated about these things and the way I've done these things. I'm not as, focused externally. I'm focused internally. And so my anger is inward, you know?
Yeah.
And so, I just put that in there. And what I thought was so interesting was it still gave me a thread. It was like, here are some things that you have you feel grieved by family fragmentation. So as I talked about, adoption as a thing from the past, working in that space, I talked about, family separation with deportation, things that was hard. And so it was really like pulling out these themes that really I do care about.
Yeah.
And then it gave me this mental model that I've just been like, what? Like, it's so good. I need to do something with this. It says, use the vessel versus channel framework. A vessel holds pain, problems, and people, and a channel lets meaning flow through.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you prompted or created all of this, right?
Yeah.
Like the vessel versus channel, but, and I don't know for men, but I know for women, we do walk around like a vessel. We're like holding all these things for people. Right. We're holding the family story. We're doing the genealogy. We're holding the memories. We're making the scrapbooks and the baby books. We're holding. And even if you look at the story of like Mary and Jesus, like it's like she kept these things, she pondered them in her heart. Like that's what women do. We do tend to be vessels. And so this idea of being a channel, I think is really like take the bottom out, like let things flow through.
Right.
And it was kind of saying, hey, your problem is that you're trying to hold everything.
Yeah.
And you're cracking. And I think that truly this is I would say, tell me what you think. This is like a midlife shift, like to go from a vessel that's trying to infinitely hold things and the shattering that happens, the unraveling that happens at this stage.
Yeah.
Of like, nope, the bottom has to come out.
Yeah.
And now you're a channel.
Yeah, I think
you're coming, stuff flows through you. Yeah.
I definitely think that's more of like a Christian detachment, like that innate practice of like you have to let it go.
Yeah.
You have to become detached from those things bringing you meaning, purpose, and significance, and finding that in God instead.
Yeah.
So instead of like my meaning, purpose, and significance being about I can solve these problems, I can do these things, I let myself down or other people down in these ways, it's like I need to let it go.
Yeah.
I can do some things really well, but I cannot do everything. And there's lots of things I can't even do well, and I have to be okay with it not being okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I interpret it.
Yeah. No, I think that, I think that's like how it would work for men and women potentially. And so if that resonates with you, vessel versus channel, it's going to look different for you. But I thought that was really profound. And I think that's what's interesting about using a tool, that it's not another person who's reflecting back to you. That's really important. Like,
yes.
we want you to do that. But something like this, when you're just beginning to have these thoughts and feel like, oh, something's not right, I need something different for this next stage of life, I want somebody to ask me a question that punches me in the gut, right? And so it's like something like this can get you going, and it can kind of interact with you and feedback to you. So I think this is really useful.
Right.
And the awesome thing is that the Midlife Missionary Set is available on Josh's Instagram, where people can get it.
And I'll link to it in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll link to
too.
it. So you can use this. You can borrow this from us. This is a thing that he has set up. So when we're saying these things, you don't necessarily have to remember every question. But there was a few that I thought were good.
Right.
That I thought we could share just
with
people.
Ahead.
Because it's like...
How about you share what stuck out to you, and then I'll share 2 pitfalls to watch out for.
Brilliant.
Okay.
I love it. That's so good.
Great.
So, I mean, the next question that's queued up is, where in life do people constantly come to you for help or insight? And, that really can be anything. And it doesn't mean that like, oh, you're good at, interior design and now that's your purpose. But it's like there might be like one layer deeper, and understanding a little bit about what that says about you, or even giving yourself the room to be, oh, wow, I really am gifted at these things. And it's not just going to be probably one thing. For me, it helped people's like transitions between identities. The things that when I have gone into helper mode for people, it has been at the key transition points. It was my first ministry stuff was when I was 17 years old, and I was working with junior high girls. And I read Reviving Ophelia, and it was about like women, they lose themselves in puberty, and we have to help them get themselves back. And I was so compelled, like, yes, I'm going to do this. And so that was my thing of like working with young girls, junior high school, college. And then I became a mom, and I was dealing with the transition into motherhood and working with maternal mental health. And I did that for a few years. And that's another very key point on women's timelines: puberty, pregnancy and postpartum, and then perimenopause, menopause. So here I am again, massive identity shift. And I'm, going through it, and I'm working with other women. And so that is a thread for me that I see is working with people as I go through these transitions and these identity shifts, helping other people do that in the places where I didn't have support. I needed it. And so I definitely see that for myself, and I really, really liked that one. So let me see here. Yes. What does the 15-year-old version of you wish the current you would stop compromising on? I think this is so interesting because it tells us to a degree like what that brand new abstract thinking, like our young self, like it's not your child self, right? That's magical. It's your teen self that has abstract thought and kind of looks at adults with the hand on the hip and the side eye, like, what are you doing? And so it's like there's a little bit of skepticism, and yet that version of us is really raw. Your 15-year-old self has some wisdom for you about what you like wanted to do. And even when I was 15, I was like deciding I wanted to be a therapist.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. And I remember that because that was a role that I was playing for my friends. But it's like, well, even asking, like, what did I envision that to look like? What was that going to look like? And it probably doesn't look like how I envision it now. So I think that's a really good one. And then, the last one I'll say, if you only had 12 months to live, how would you invest time and energy and influence? And I think that, when we feel that we are infinite, we don't make as good of choices. When we have deadlines, when we have expiration dates on things, it does like force the priorities and the values to the surface. It forces the relationships that are truly like life-giving legacy relationships to the forefront. And I think that is really helpful. So a question like that can be very useful for helping like, what do I care about most? Right. And really they're asking these questions from like so many different angles, that's why you designed it. And I think like if you don't have an answer for some of them, or you sit there and you go, I don't know, like it's okay, because it's using this composite to help you understand yourself.
Yeah.
And some of these questions are going to hit more and some of them won't, but I think it's really, really valid. So anyway, I really love all of these things, and I love that you did this. I think it's such a gift for people, and I hope that our friends who are listening will use it.
Yeah, definitely. So let me give you 2 pitfalls to watch out for when you're doing this.
Okay.
The first one is even as you prepare to think about moving forward in midlife, mistaking activity for productivity, right? Mistaking activity for forward progress in your life.
Wow, yes.
Like, because a lot of us can just keep doing the same thing over and over again, and maybe even doubling down on our energy, working harder, working longer hours, because that's what used to work. And there is a time in which that just needs to be interrupted. You need to take a break, go on a retreat, take some time to reflect, set aside an hour or two to actually do a kind of activity like this or anything else. Don't do this, do something though. That's completely fine, right? But just convincing yourself that no, I'm fine. I can keep doing the same thing and get better results.
Yeah.
It's just it's
can't.
not true. So that would be the first pitfall. The second would be overthinking it. And this is a tendency that I have, is that I overthink, and therefore I'm looking for the perfect answer or the perfect vessel or vehicle, and then I procrastinate because the perfect thing hasn't come along to tell me who I am and what I need to do. And so I overthink. I overthink answers. I overthink just a lot of things. And so sometimes just starting, just putting an answer, just having a vague idea is better than no idea at all. Yeah. And so even if you know something is different, something has changed, I don't know what it is, I don't know if I can describe it, it's just better to like be honest about that than not do anything at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good. And I think this is about a process, right? Like we are not going to take the first half of life approach and go, I have a, mission statement and I put it up above my office door and I look at it every day and I memorize it. It's like, this is about asking yourself the questions that create some discomfort and that flesh out truth and flesh out who you are, because this second half of life is really like, it is worth it. And you have things to unlearn too, right? In the way that when we were coming up, we were learning things. You're not unlearning when you're young. Yeah. We have to unlearn some things now. And it's not just like you look back at your family of origin and go, oh, I have to unlearn everything from my family. Although we did, when you're in your 20s, you start to try to intentionally unlearn. But when you're at this stage, you're also unlearning your own patterns.
That's right.
Just the stuff that you signed up for, that you've been, in a relationship for 15 or 20 years, how you talk to yourself, how do you talk to your kids, what your faith dynamics look like. Like, it's patterns now, and it's like, and so doing things that asking like a question that is really disruptive can disrupt some patterns. And so that's, I certainly love a good question. I love when people ask me a really good question. Yeah. I love the moment I get to say this is a really good question. And, the poignancy of that. So anyways, so those are really good pitfalls to be aware of. And I'd love to have you guys, click the link in the show notes or find this on Josh's Instagram and get connected with this, because it's such a good tool. Definitely even something for like conversation around, for girls' night, guys' night. If you want to go deep, date night with your partner, get out there and ask some good questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I love it. And we'd love to hear what stands out to you, maybe your favorite question, if you want to drop that in comments or send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. So, questions.
Yes.
Okay.
Fire away.
We got, what are you reading, watching, or listening to right now?
So I just finished a Bible study with John on the life of David. We just finished this morning.
Okay.
And actually our church was going through a series through the life of David, and then I just piggybacked some study one-on-one with John, and we just wrapped that today. It was really good. Talked about, leaving a legacy, finishing strong, finishing with a heart for God, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So really good combos around that.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been doing my usual things, which I've said, Josh Johnson and Daily Show, to try to survive the news.
Yes.
But I haven't been quite as good at reading. I've been reading some of there's a Substack that I like. It's called Uneffing Midlife.
Wow.
But it's the whole word.
Okay.
And this chick is like not messing around. And I really appreciate her very direct perspective, because she's literally just, a couple years ahead of me, and just really thinking about the shifts that happen.
Yeah.
And her story is like really different than mine, but I think that's what makes it so interesting, is like when you have someone who has a totally different life from you, but they're having some of the same experiences, you go, oh, this is what the chrysalis of midlife does to people. Yeah. And so it's just neat to see those common patterns. I've been enjoying some of her just thoughts. So that one. And then I would also, I got to give a shout out to Leandra Medine Cohen with the cereal aisle and all the fashion that she serves up on her Substack.
Cool.
So, helping me dress not boring.
Yeah.
So
we appreciate that. What's giving you life right now?
Okay, so what's fun for me, what I love, is these white jeans, you guys, because they've been on my list. It was like, we knew that white jeans were going to be a thing. Started last season or last spring, and so now, like, you got to have them. They're a must have.
Okay.
And so I got myself a pair, and I feel so great about that.
Yeah.
And totally wore them on Mother's Day like a boss.
Yeah.
So excited to get some wear out of these babies this summer. What about you? What are you loving right now?
I am loving 17 years with you. That's what's giving me life. Cheers. 17 years. 18 total together.
I'm looking at the camera because I'm going, I missed a golden opportunity to be a romantic.
I took it.
No, you're so good. So we had our anniversary on Mother's Day because we cry.
Yeah. Yeah.
May 11th. And 17 years together. And so the fun story about us, we'll do another podcast on this.
Okay.
But the fun story about us is that we dated for a year and a day before we got married. So
that's right.
May 10th was our first day of dating in 2007.
Yeah.
And then a year and a day later, it was going to be exactly 1 year.
Yeah.
Because of my brother's deployment and these other things. So we didn't know, like, we didn't mean for that. But then we're like, oh, it's exactly 1 year. So funny. And then a bunch of my family couldn't come.
Yeah.
So it was a year and a day. And we got married on a Sunday, which was Mother's Day when we got married. And it was Pentecost. And it was a bunch of things. It was like all these like days on the church calendar. And anyway, so it was very funny. We handed out roses to the moms. And we sang Ave Maria. Well, Danielle did beautifully.
I did not.
A classically trained singer. So we nailed it, but it was like not the most.
We set ourselves up for Mother's Day
years
celebrations.
Years of celebrating our anniversary the week of Mother's Day. And so then we're like buying cards, right? So it's like the kids are making a card for me, and my mom and I are giving each other cards, but she's giving us an anniversary thing. We're trying to get each other anniversaries. You're trying to do Mother's Day for me, my mom, your mom, and all the women at church.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Good times.
It was not well thought out. Okay. So if you're thinking about getting married on Mother's Day, I mean, is the next weekend open? For us, literally, it was the last possible Sunday because John was deploying.
He was graduating.
He was graduating and deploying. So that was it. That was the last week that we could do it. And so that's our excuse. But there's no good, you don't have a good excuse like that. I guarantee it. Our most of our audience is not getting married, at least for the first time.
Right.
So anyway,
that's funny.
You make smarter choices. Anyways, we are loving that we've been married for 17 years.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not exactly like a big milestone, 17.
17, yeah.
But it's a Mamma Mia. right? It's a Mamma Mia song, right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Or is it isn't it?
Stevie Nicks, right?
Stevie Nicks.
Edge of 17.
Yeah, Edge of 17.
There you go.
But I was thinking there was a Mamma Mia one about 17.
I don't know.
Anyway. So, yeah, our relationship is 17.
There you go.
The edge of 17.
Yeah.
So we're going to go out this weekend because last weekend we couldn't, okay?
Yeah.
Because there was too dang much. Didn't we do like one thing? We did something.
Yeah, we went to Arrow.
Yeah. We went and had
Cheers.
a little. We were like, I'll see you next weekend.
Till then. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it was good. So that's fun.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, we need to talk about. We have to talk about our origin story at some point.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
The people love it. And some of our friends who've known us forever will already know it. But anyways, all right, guys. Well, this was fun. And we hope that these purpose questions have made you think, have made you like just been provocative in all the right ways. If you want all 20 plus the amazing prompt that Josh created for your midlife mission reset, get in the show notes, get it on Josh's Instagram, work on it, leave us a comment, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
This is the In the Middle podcast with Josh and Sarah Siders. Visit inthemiddlecoaching.co for other resources, courses, and helpful tools.